Thanks, Kathy. Now he was one of the great Welsh fly halves who became, if such a thing is possible, an even greater rugby union broadcaster. And Cliff Morgan, who died today, aged 83, was most famous for his commentary on the greatest of all tries by Gareth Edwards for the Barbarians against the All Blacks in 1973. Our own Welsh rugby enthusiast, Andy Davies, looks back on his life and times.
Cliff, what part of Wales do you come from?
I come from the Rhondda Valley in South Wales, from a little village called Tre Bannog, the 3 hills around the top of the valley.
Yes.
His was one of the most distinctive broadcasting voices of his generation.
Damage brace to Morgan. Morgan inside 1 man.
Cliff Morgan, the coal miner's son whose ability to captivate an audience would first emerge in the intoxicating world of Welsh rugby. 29 caps for Wales, an inspirational fly half for the British Lions in '55, and instrumental in his home club Cardiff's famous win against the mighty All Blacks of New Zealand 2 years earlier. When Cardiff beat the All Blacks here in 1953, an overjoyed Western Mail reporter wrote this. "Nothing," he said, "will ever tarnish the memory of Cliff Morgan darting and swooping across the turf like a swift at play." The poetry of sports journalism. Cliff Morgan would go on to excel at that too. Notably, 20 years on, back in Cardiff, when stepping in for a flu-ridden Bill McLaren, he produced a simple but brilliant commentary on a simply brilliant try, arguably the greatest of all time.
Brian Williams, pulling. John Dawes, great dummy. David, Tom David, the halfway line, brilliant by Quinnell. This is Gareth Edwards, a dramatic start. Worst goal. Oh, that fellow Edwards.
Cliff was drafted in very, very quickly, left his notes behind and just had to speak off the top of his head. But because he knew the game, because he knew what sort of occasion it was, he was able to say the simple things which described the whole moment so well. And I've looked back and I've smiled to myself many times and thought, well, that's typical Cliff.
Morgan's talent for broadcasting would extend far beyond the rugby pitch. To editor of Grandstand, resident captain on A Question of Sport, and for years presenter of Radio 4's Sport on 4. With his ever-perceptive takes on the sporting world and his easygoing charm, one stellar career followed another. Cliff Morgan died after a long illness. He was 83.